All right. Well, it's gonna. We've swapped spawns, it seems. Spawning in the bottom right position for the game number 1 of this Heart of the Swarm Best of 9 show match. I think it's being done King of the Hill style. It's going to be playing for Rox.Kis. It is Titan! GLHF exclaimed by his very well-mannered opponent. Spawning in the bottom left position of Newkirk City as our Red Zerg playing for Team Quantic Gaming. It is HyuN. Now, if you guys missed the SC2TV cast from last week, Todd and I casted HyuN play against Turek from Team Cascade. It was actually a pretty interesting match. Turek took the first couple games, and then HyuN just kind of rolled on back and stole the rest of them. It was pretty good to see, but well, HyuN's here. This is his next challenger, Titan, and Titan Russian player. Pretty well known in the Russian scene, I'd have to say. And this match is, of course, brought to you by SC2TV So reasonable enough that we're trying to get lots of Russian players engaged in this. And for the most part, in the builds that we're seeing out of these players, nothing really out of the ordinary. It's just we have the pylon placed in the low ground for Forge Fast Expand. The ramp on this map isn't really too wide to wall off. It's a fairly normal size ramp. Kind of reminds me of Entombed Valley a little bit. Maybe a bit smaller, but Titan's going to get in for a pretty fast scout. And he's going to see that HyuN's gone for a 15 spawning pool. And this is the Korean standard when it comes to ZvP. We see a lot of 15 spawning pool, then about 16 hatchery, and generally speaking, the Zerg player will spot with their Overlord by this time. Okay, you've gone for a fast expand as well. I can go for a third hatchery. I don't think we're going to see Titan do anything really crazy. Yesterday we had for the Ritmix RSL, we had Naniwa go for a lot of gateway expands and PVZ, but against Bly, but I don't think we're going to have any kind of builds like this. We have the Forge down first, then the Nexus. So Titan getting the Forge before the Nexus it's not like it's a really big deal. When you scout that your opponent's going for a spawning pool at this timing, at 15 supply, you can generally get away with the Nexus first, and then you just wall everything off quickly. But what he's done is gone for a slightly safer build. I think he should still get his Gateway first, yep. And he's going to get that. And he can get his Photon Cannon behind this, and he's not going to have to worry about any number of Zerglings. But HyuN's only made 2, so it's not really a big deal. You can delay your Forge a little bit, get your Nexus a tiny bit earlier. It'll get you about an extra probe or 2, just from being able to constantly build them and start that a little bit earlier. But we don't really have anything else interesting going on just yet. Third base going to go down for HyuN. Very, very standard. His Zergling's going to chase this little probe, Proberto around the map, and he should be able to make it home, but if he tries to get around the lane, proxy pylons, the Zerglings will eventually catch him. HyuN's actually going to try to head him off. Nice little, interesting little chase we have going on here. But the big question is going to come into play is how much gas is Titan going to take? Most Zerg decisions about builds are going to occur once they have their natural and their main base fully saturated, when they go for fast 3-base play. Possible builds coming out of a Protoss player doing, Forge, expands, pretty much anything, to be honest. There's 7-gate timings. We have immortal pushes, and honestly, I haven't actually seen an immortal push on this map, the classic one. Man, this probe, he's booking it. He's looking like he's in a little bit of trouble here, but we're actually going to have a third gas being taken at about 5 minutes for Titan. So this is a little bit different than normal, I think. Usually you'd see you'd start your warp gate, you get your tech building, and then double gas, but maybe he wants to go for a really fast upgrade timing with possibly a Stargate. Stargate is very popular, but Titan, coming from the Russian scene, might have a little bit of a different approach to the PvZ, and it is going to be a Stargate though. So Titan knows what's really popular in the meta, and there's a reason that Stargate builds are so strong. It gives you an option to go for a lot of aggression, but in Heart of the Swarm as well, Stargates give you the option to go for a lot of harass, a lot of different kinds of harass, because you have you can go for Phoenix play to do a lot of damage to Overlords, you can try to pick off Queens, or you can go for Oracle play, which is really, really great against drones if it goes unscouted. This Overlord, though, for HyuN is going to scout this Stargate, so he knows that his opponent is going to be going for some kind of airplay. One of the cool things to know about Heart of the Swarm is we are most likely not going to have an issue here with HyuN being able to hold off this aggression. You no longer need an evolution chamber to actually get spore crawlers. Hopefully HyuN takes this into account as the first Oracle is on the way. These units can do a lot of damage to the mineral lines. They have 3 abilities. They have Envision, which allows the Oracle to detect. For about 60 seconds, it turns them basically into a super fast observer. They have Preordain, which allows them to gain vision through other units' eyes, kind of like Parasite from StarCraft Brood War, if you recall. And they have the Pulsar Beams, which allows them to do 25 damage per, a little bit faster than 25 damage per second to light units, so really good against workers. But Titan's going to come up here with 2 Stalkers and a Zealot to pressure this third base. A ton of Zerglings move in, though. Ooh, a little bit of a blunder. He's going to get surrounded. This Mothership Core is going to show up. Doesn't have enough energy to recall these units out of there, and both Stalkers get cleaned up with the Zealot. That's actually a big loss. The Zealot really didn't get too much done here. Only a single drone guy, but the Oracle's going to show up. The Mothership Core finishes off the Queen. There's no anti-air here to take cover of this, and the Mothership Core is going to activate that Time Warp ability, which slows down all units in the field, so the drones can't even mine that quickly, and this Oracle actually ends up getting a lot of kills for Titan. HyuN takes quite a bit of damage, not having any Spore Crawlers up, and having his Queen weakened by the Zealot Stalker poke, so really nice catch here. He is going to lose this Mothership Core, though. The Mothership Core does not move fast enough to evade these Queens on creep, and it looks like it is barely going to die, yes. And in the meantime, we have a Hydralisk Den going up for HyuN. Very standard follow-up to Stargate play. Hydralisks are a lot better in this game, but we have some Slowlings running into the natural. Great force field by Titan, keeping those Zerglings out. Could have been a little bit disastrous if he'd made it into the mineral line. All the defenses here is just a couple of sentries and this cannon, so very important to try to dodge those. We have another Mothership Core being made, taking some shots at those unbuildable plates. And we have additional gateways being added, as well as a robotics facility. So I have to say, Titan did a pretty good job of following up his Stargate play by moving very quickly into the Robotech so he can deal with the Hydralisks. We have Hydralisk range being upgraded right now. We have Roach speed as well. So this is going to be very standard Roach Hydra unit composition coming out of our Zerg player. HyuN is not going to pull any punches with any kind of weird builds, early Swarm Host or anything like that. He's going for the tried and true. He knows there's been buffs to Hydralisk, so this should be a pretty solid setup for HyuN. I might have it wrong. I'm pretty sure it's a best of 9 though. I feel like the last one that we did was best of 9, so. But it could be 7 or 5. I'll check after this game. Spore Crawler is going to block out these Oracles from getting in and doing any more damage. We have Phoenix actually being made at the same time for a little bit of Overlord poking, since the Oracles actually can't kill them. The Oracle spotted that there's still Overlords hiding around the map, and he's going to add on a second Stargate. So this is going to be a bit interesting. He's got Colossus out, but he's going to actually get an Observer now. I feel like adding on Stargate play needs to wait until Titan can get up 3 or 4 bases of full saturation, because these Hydralisks can be produced so much more quickly. This Phoenix is going to move in now, scout around. He sees, okay, Hydralisk Den. He knows pretty much everything that's going on inside the base of HyuN. HyuN's going to move in and take a 4th base now. I actually don't think Titan saw that just yet, but HyuN looks like he wants to put on a little bit of pressure towards this 3rd base. What we have to defend, Colossus. The Sentry should have enough energy with this Immortal to be able to hold this force off, especially since HyuN doesn't have his muscular augments yet, so these Hydralisks are very, very slow off creep. And engaging with those is going to be very risky. But ooh, we have Contamination actually slowing down that Colossus by about 30 seconds. The Contaminate ability is actually really, really powerful in terms of just how long it can delay production for. So that's a really nice catch. That Colossus still contaminated, so that takes so long to go away. I think it's about 30 seconds. Very, very nice play by HyuN. And we have this Oracle's going to go zooming around to that 3rd base again. Looks like Titan's going to try to get some more drone kills. We already have units being pulled up. It has been spotted, most likely by that creep tumor, so he wants to be careful of its positioning, it seems. I like this, the creep tumors there. The Rox could actually kill that tumor. It's kind of funny, but we have a lot of Corruptors on the way. The Spire is out. A lot of, 8 Corruptors being produced. We have +1 range only now going, though. The upgrades feel a little bit late for HyuN, but possibly because he lost the drones earlier on. And he's going to get some Swarm Hosts, which is really interesting. I'm curious how he's going to use these. Oracle is going to move into the 3rd base, though. I do not believe it has enough health to fight this Queen. Oh my goodness, it only has 7 hit points left. Looking at the worker killed tab, let's see, 18 drones have been killed this game, so not bad at all for Titan. He's getting up a nice composition of Colossus, Stalker, and possibly going to switch into Void Ray with the 2nd Stargate he has, but there is a Changeling That's pretty much everything. He's going to try to head into the main. Will be taken out, but I have to say, all in all, this game seems about even for the most part. Nothing too crippling is happening lately. These Corruptor is actually going to find this Oracle, so that level of harass is going to end. There's still a Phoenix on the field, but it looks like Titan wants to push out now with his upgrades. He only has 1-1. He has Blink on the way. Not really hitting any timing, just trying to move out maybe with the 100 energy on the Mothership Core, the 2 Colossi. Just wants to put some pressure on, and he's going to step up here, but these Swarm Hosts, Locusts, do a lot of damage to Protoss units. He's actually going to get some great force fields and cut off these Hydralisks, so really nice catch by Titan, and now this base is kind of isolated. HyuN's going to need to get a full surround with his Hydralisks and the Locusts from the Swarm Host, but 3 Colossi here are going to make this very difficult to deal with. This 4th base is going to die. Do not actually see an observer with his army. I'm not sure if he can see the Swarm Host. It looks like he can't, but the splash damage off of the Locust is going to allow him to actually damage those as well. So HyuN's in a bit of a rough spot here. Took a bit of a hit to his 4th base, and I have to say this was the story of PvZ in Wings of Liberty, especially in the Korean meta. See a lot of 3-base timings with Colossi. 4th base goes up, going to be defended from a Zergling. But we have a lot of 3-base timings come out for Protoss to shut down a 4th base, and then the follow-up push does a lot of damage. We have a Fleet Beacon on the way for Titan now. He's going to take out HyuN's other 4th base. So HyuN's relocated his Swarm Host. He's going to be able to use these pretty well defensively, but I'm not sure at what point all these Colossi are just going to allow Titan to push through. The Mothership Core actually gets sniped, so he's not going to be able to use any Time Warps. He won't be able to recall, and that means that Titan, if he pushes in with this, could be a little all-in. So he's going to retreat, which I think is a good idea. The Phoenix actually ran in here and got sniped. He needs an observer with him to be able to shut down the Swarm Host. So I'm wondering whether he's going to try to just push in or just build up this big fleet. We have Tempest now being produced by Titan. So this will be very interesting if he's just going to try to turtle up to this Tempest Death Ball. That's become actually pretty popular in the meta for PvZ in Heart of the Swarm. Or not, but the Locusts are moving in. Big ball of Roach Hydralisk. He has a good number of Corruptors. I'm not sure it's going to be quite enough. This is almost pure Stalker Colossi, and this is a very, very powerful army, but I feel if HyuN can get a large enough force and can target properly with the Corruptors, he should be fine. The Swarm Host, though, I'm always curious. He's not using them for any kind of harass. He's using them purely for defense, and it's nice because it's a really cost-effective defense. Because if the Locusts hold off units, then they are cost-effective by nature. So this Tempest taking some pot shots at an Overseer, and in the meantime, they have 2-2 on the way for HyuN. +2 air weapons, and it looks like HyuN's going to try to move in. Oh my goodness, these Locusts always scare me. I like look on the mini-map, and they're everywhere, but Guardian Shield gets popped. Looks like Titan might not be up for any more funner games. I love this little flank setup with the Locust, and a big Roach Force stepping up now. He's going to do a lot of damage to these forces. He targets down one of the Colossi. He manages to get Corrupt on both of them. The Swarm Hosts are stepping forward. The Stalkers are going to try to blink back and snipe the Corruptors. The Tempests are now finally getting in some shots. They have amazing range, but the Locusts are really just shoving this army back. It's really difficult to push into this force. It's a much smaller army for HyuN, but these Locusts really make it difficult to push through, because if they spawn on top of your army, Locust DPS is so high. But he's actually starting to kill the Locust, the Swarm Host now. 2 of them will die. The Corruptors are going to try to step forward. He might be able to barely grab the Colossus. He does get it, but I don't feel there's actually enough units here for HyuN to fully push through this force. There's barely any Roaches left to tank damage. But man, these Locusts are doing some work on these Stalkers without any area of effect damage to actually kill the Locusts. So HyuN's going to need to back off for now, I think. But these Locusts are actually going to be a little bit difficult to kill with. He's actually killing a lot of units here. He just wipes off the entire right side, and this is where Titan seems to be overextending a little bit. He needs to back up. A lot of Hydralisks are moving in for HyuN. This is looking very, very scary. If this Swarm Host just move up a little bit more now, these Hydralisks have such high DPS, have those 2-2 upgrades. The Stalkers are going to try to step forward and fight the Hydralisks, but the Hydralisks have a lot more DPS than the Stalkers. The Stalkers have more hit points, but now the Locusts are showing up. He can't engage this, and the Tempest is exposed. HyuN could actually just step up and kill that. Another Colossi comes out, but it's going to get sniped, it looks like, by these Hydralisks. Barely going to get away. Another wave of Locusts is going to spawn, and these Stalkers are not going to be able to engage this. He needs to back up. And it looks like HyuN is beginning to take a very convincing lead here, a very high supply lead. He's decimated the army of Titan without Colossi to deal with the Locust. Titan had absolutely nothing to stop this force from pressing forward. Really, really awesome slow push. It kind of reminds me of like a tank push, basically, just slowly moving forward, picking off units, and whittling down the opponent's army. But Titan's built up 2 Colossi. He's continuing to produce double Tempest, and if he balls up enough, he might be able to try to push off of 3 mining bases. Actually missed an Oracle, must have cleared this base out on the left side, but the Roaches are pushing into that 3rd base. We have yeah, just 2 Tempests here, basically. He's pretty much being forced to turtle out of this position. HyuN's up 190 supply to 125. He has quite a few army supply, I have to say. And this mining base has barely any probes. Actually, just a couple more probes were sent there recently. But it looks like HyuN, I don't think he can actually push into this because he doesn't have enough anti-air to actually deal with all of the Colossi and the Tempest. But he's going to need to ball up. I think he needs to re-drone up his 3rd base. Actually, he might have just moved them all to his 4th. But he has saturated mining. It's just you need to make sure he doesn't overcommit and lose to a counter push because the Colossi are intact. And there are observers available for Titan. So HyuN's supply lead going back very quickly. This has been a very cost-effective engagement for Titan, I have to say. We have another Zealot warping headed towards that 3rd base. There's still no drones there, and there's no charge for the Zealots either, but there won't be too much for them to kill. They might just run to the 4th instead. The Swarmhost are going to have to retreat, but these Stalkers are going to chase him down. The Tempest have a lot of range to DPS these guys too, and I have to say, he's losing quite a few of these Swarmhosts. Roaches are going to step up and try to stop them from advancing. He's going to burrow, spawn another wave of Locusts. The Hydralisk might, nope, barely not going to be able to grab either of those Tempest, and this 3rd hatchery is going to fall down for HyuN. So he's on 3 bases now. He's got a little bit left at his natural expansion. He's got a lot left at this 4th base, but Titan actually managed to lose a couple of probes. I want to look at the stats here. We have, wow, HyuN 45 probes killed, 31 drones killed. So this game, it's come a little bit even, but Titan has lost, I think, possibly too much now. It's 53 supply to 130. HyuN is looking very scary. He still has these Swarm Hosts that have been very cost-effective all game long. He knows what his opponent has. Templar Archives is being started to try to spend this gas bank of Titan, but I'm just not sure if there's going to be enough. HyuN's going to start a 4th hatchery in the top position. And he's just going to slowly push forward with these Locusts. I love it. He's not allowing his Swarm Host to be caught off guard. He's balling up his forces, keeping his Swarm Host with his army, and just really hammering away at Titan. And this has been a pretty awesome display of how you can use Swarm Host to really get a good grip on a Protoss player and get a nice siege going against Colossi. They outrange all of the ground units for Zerg, so it's very awesome to see this style come into play. The Observer is here to spot these. There are 2 Observers covering the whole lane, but you might just try to use the Tempest to snipe these. He's actually going to pick off one of the Swarm Hosts. A great catch, but the Corruptors are going to get them now. They were a little bit overextended, I think. Manages to pick off one of the Tempest. Needs to get a Corruption on the other one. He will barely be able to kill it. The Archon's doing a lot of splash damage to the Corruptors, though. Managed to take out a couple of them, but the last Colossus is dead. And a big Zergling Roach Hydralisk push towards the last mining base for Titan will be taken out. Titan GG's, and game number 1 goes to HyuN. Just let me check how many games the match is supposed to be. Okay, yeah, it is best of 9. Yeah, okay, I was right, guys. So it's going to be a best of 9. We have quite a few games coming at you guys. So game number 1 is going to go to HyuN. That was pretty awesome. That was pretty cool to see. We don't get enough. I don't see enough of that. There's a lot of big air armies that are built up by Protoss players, but that kind of feels like a lot of things, though. I played Terran, so I'm very familiar with needing to get a lot of air units quickly to deal with Swarm Hosts, but we'll get into the next game as soon as we can, guys. Yeah, so just relax.